Welcome to today's Explainer. I'm thrilled you're here because we are unraveling one of the most captivating and, frankly, highly debated mysteries currently taking the internet by storm. Over the last few years, this massive viral narrative has just exploded across social media, message boards, and now it's actually reached the highest halls of the US government. The story? Well, it's about a string of mysterious deaths and baffling disappearances involving some incredibly brilliant American minds. We're talking about leading figures tied to advanced space research, highly classified nuclear programs, and even the investigation of UFOs. It's a hugely complex narrative, but remember, these are real people, real families, and very real ongoing investigations. So today, we're going to look strictly at the facts, the data, and the actual evidence to decode this viral narrative.
Okay, let's dive into this. This is the central question we're trying to answer today. If you spend any time online, you've likely seen the theories, right? The claim is that foreign adversaries or maybe even some shadowy domestic entity are systematically silencing individuals who know way too much about America's most closely guarded technological secrets. Now, on one hand, you have this string of undeniably tragic and bizarre cases involving people with access to literally the most sensitive information out there. But on the other hand, you have the chaotic, rumor-filled echo chamber of the internet. We need to figure out exactly where the undeniable truth ends and where the viral illusion begins.
To really understand the scale of this phenomenon, we have to start with a number. 11. Since 2022, the names of roughly 11 Americans linked to nuclear, NASA, and UFO research have been compiled by online sleuths and even by concerned lawmakers. And this list, it includes senior rocket engineers, former military intelligence officers, and plasma physicists. Some have vanished without a single trace, others have died under circumstances ranging from tragic accidents to solved homicides. It's this sheer volume of highly credentialed individuals experiencing these tragic fates that has completely captured the public's attention and triggered high-level federal scrutiny.
Now, if you just follow the social media narrative, you might actually believe these individuals vanished overnight in one coordinated sweep. But mapping out the verified timeline reveals a very different picture. We're looking at a timeline spanning several years. You have the natural passing of anti-gravity pioneer Ning Li in 2021, the tragic death of researcher Amy Eskridge in 2022, all the way up to the baffling 2025 and 2026 disappearances of aerospace engineer Monica Rizza and General William McCausland. The events are geographically and chronologically dispersed, and honestly, that is our first major clue in deconstructing this online myth.
Section 1. The core cases: nuclear, space, and intelligence.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the intersection of these highly specialized backgrounds with their current tragic status. Just look at the caliber of these professionals. We have Matthew Sullivan from Air Force Intelligence, General William McCausland, a former commander of the Air Force Research Lab, Monica Rizza, deeply embedded in advanced propulsion at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and Melissa Cassius, tied to the legendary Los Alamos National Laboratory. When you view this data, it's super easy to see why the public imagination has been sparked. The concentration of top-tier clearances is undeniable. Let's look a little closer at a few of these specific cases.
Let's start with Matthew Sullivan. Sullivan was a 39-year-old former Air Force intelligence officer and a Bronze Star recipient. He served at the NSA and the Air Force Intelligence Agency. According to colleagues, he held knowledge that very few in the nation truly understood. But what really fueled the online frenzy around his case was the timing. In May 2024, Sullivan was actually set to testify before Congress regarding government UFO programs. But shortly before he could testify, he was found dead in his Virginia home. Officially, his death was ruled an accidental drug overdose, but given his background and that impending testimony, his tragic passing became a massive catalyst for the current conspiracy theories.
Then we have the disappearances, which present an entirely different kind of mystery. Let's contrast two of the most baffling ones. General William McCausland was a retired Air Force commander with oversight over highly classified aerospace projects. In February 2026, he vanished. What's chilling here is that he left behind his personal devices, making him completely untrackable, but he deliberately took a firearm. Contrast that with Monica Rizza. She was a senior aerospace engineer for NASA's JPL, co-inventing advanced rocket propulsion materials. In June 2025, she vanished into thin air during a routine hike with friends. Despite massive searches utilizing drones, helicopters, and canine units for both individuals, neither has been found.
So the crucial point is the behavioral anomalies we're seeing here, especially when looking at cases connected to Los Alamos National Laboratory, which is America's premier nuclear research facility. Take Melissa Casillas, for example. She worked in administration at the lab, placing her right inside a highly secure ecosystem. In June 2025, she vanished. But she didn't just walk away. She left her belongings behind and her phones were found wiped completely clean of data. A month prior to that, 79-year-old Anthony Chavez, a former Los Alamos employee, disappeared while simply taking a walk. Leaving without a trace, wiped data, these are the specific anomalies from individuals tied to a highly secure network that really keep this mystery alive.
Section 2. The official investigation. Lawmakers and agencies respond.
The political pressure here is mounting rapidly. Representative Eric Burleson from Missouri has been highly vocal, pushing the FBI and the House Oversight Committee for answers regarding Matthew Sullivan and others. He stated, "Every adversary on the planet celebrates each one we lose. We are weaker as a nation today because of these losses, and I'm working to get answers." This quote perfectly encapsulates the intense congressional push. Lawmakers are demanding to know if these events are isolated tragedies or part of a coordinated campaign by foreign adversaries targeting American intellectual capital.
This situation has actually escalated all the way to the Oval Office. When pressed on the issue, President Donald Trump addressed the gravity of the situation, stating, "I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half." This confirms that an active, high-level probe is underway. The White House has officially ordered a holistic, multi-agency review led by the FBI in 2026 to look at all these cases together. They want to determine if any true, verified connections or patterns actually exist between them.
However, it's absolutely vital to contrast the high political alarm with the grounded statements coming directly from the agencies involved. NASA spokesperson Bethany Stevens recently stated, "At this time, nothing related to NASA indicates a national security threat." The White House and the FBI have echoed this caution. While they are rigorously investigating, they're urging the public not to jump to conclusions. For example, another prominent case on the list, MIT plasma physicist Nuno Loureiro, was quickly solved by the FBI. They determined his tragic death was the result of a local shooting with absolutely no nexus to terrorism or his classified work.
Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds. Fact versus fiction, data and psychology.
First, we absolutely must remember the immense human cost behind these headlines. The families of the deceased are actively pushing back against the viral theories. The widow of Caltech astronomer Carl Grillmeyer, who tragically died in a carjacking, publicly called the internet conspiracy surrounding her husband's death absolute nonsense. The family of Amy Eskridge cited her long battle with chronic pain. We have to approach this topic with deep empathy. Real people are grieving, and having their loved ones' tragedies morphed into internet entertainment is a painful burden they simply did not ask for.
And this brilliantly illustrates the psychology at play here. Medical sociologist Robert Bartholomew, who studies social hysteria, points to a phenomenon known as apophenia. This is the human tendency to perceive meaningful links or patterns in completely unrelated random events. You see, when social media platforms plant the idea of a coordinated attack, our brains are literally primed to expect it. We take a tragic carjacking, a heartbreaking suicide, an accidental overdose, and a genuine missing persons case, and our minds aggressively try to connect the dots, even when no actual line exists between them.
To really put apophenia to the test, we have to look at the raw numbers. And this number is the most important one to remember. 700,000. That is the estimated total number of people working in top-secret cleared positions within the United States aerospace, defense, and nuclear sectors. It is a massive, sprawling workforce.
Now, when you apply standard mortality rates to a population of 700,000 people over a 4-year span, the statistical reality is sobering but clear. Science experts point out that you would statistically expect to see around 250 homicides and suicides within a group this large over 4 years, alongside thousands of natural deaths. While the loss of 11 brilliant minds feels staggering and deeply alarming when listed out on a viral post, statistically, it falls entirely within the expected mortality rates. Furthermore, many of the cases on this list have firmly verified causes, including heart disease, Alzheimer's, and distinctly solved unrelated crimes.
This brings us to a final, vital thought. The cases of William McCasland, Monica Riza, and Melissa Casillas remain genuine, heartbreaking mysteries that demand rigorous investigation by the FBI, which is exactly what is happening right now. But lumping their disappearances in with solved crimes and natural tragedies distorts the truth. It forces us to ask, how does social media shape our perception of random tragic events? We must always balance our curiosity with verified reality. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep asking the tough questions.